Hello, who are you? Won't you tell me your name? Hello. Do, 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 do. Blake and I used to drink at a place where Jim Morrison would hang out, right? You remember that?
I know we've been in, was it in Culver City there?
No, 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 no. We have a picture that we use for like the Agree to Disagree show. We're sitting in a booth.
Oh, is that at the I forgot the name of that place.
That's it. And it's got a plaque. It says Jim Morrison used to sit here and
Barney's Beanery.
Barney's Beanery in West Hollywood. Exactly.
Ah, I didn't know it was around that long.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like like the storied history. I guess he used to stay at the hotel across the street.
Right. Well, one of his songs, Soul Kitchen, that wasn't from there, was it?
I don't know. We're gonna have to do a deep dive on Jim Morrison and Barney's Beanery, especially in West Hollywood, California. But yeah, like that place, you would trade. I think during I don't think it was during the Depression era. I can't remember when they opened, 30s or 40s or something. But people used to trade their license plate for a bowl of chili, and I think you can still do that. You can take an old license plate, and they'll give you a bowl of chili for it, and they hang it on the wall. So yeah, interesting place. But yeah, I just started today's show saying, hello, how are you? And I started singing. So brought all the memories came rushing back. What was that song? All the memories come rushing back and it makes it really hard. Heaven isn't too far away. Remember that song from the late 80s? All right, I digress. Let's get to the news. There's a million things going on, and we have an early out today. Thank you for joining us. My name's Brian Engelman. That is the inverted Blake Walley on the other side of the screen. And this is the Agree to Disagree show on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. All right, quick bookkeeping to get out of the way before we jump into today's show. If you want to follow Blake, he's at TV's Blake Walley, and his site is called thenextlevelnews.com. Follow Blake in all the places. If you like the new American media, go to patreon.com/the new American media. You can contribute like a couple bucks a month or a bunch of bucks a month if you really like us, and follow the Agree to Disagree show and the new American media in all of the places, because I fully expect YouTube and Facebook to censor the shit out of us this election season like they did last election season. But thank you for being here today. Please leave your comments wherever you are typing. I don't know what first question of the day: how are you viewing us right now? Type it into the chat. Are you on Twitter, or I'm sorry, on X? Are you on Facebook in the Agree to Disagree group? Are you on comment? Are you on just where are you watching us today? YouTube? Please let us know. It's helpful for us as we try to extend on certain platforms and kind of bail on others. So we want to talk about a whole bunch of things. We are going to get into, obviously, the Baltimore Bridge. The name of today's show is Diddy Dashes Bridge Collapses. So we're going to talk about P. Diddy. We're going to talk about the bridge coming down. Blake, that picture, did you get a photograph with Diddy at an event in Los Angeles? Is that what that was? Like, what's the background?
Yeah, that is. I was actually buying this lovely iPhone 11 at the Culver City AT&T store, and he was out filming. So that was kind of one of the perks in LA, is that wherever you go, you might run into celebrities because they all live there and shoot random stuff wherever. And I was like, oh, that's Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, whatever. And it's like, hey, can I get selfies? Like, okay. So there it is. The rest of history. I had no idea he would turn into such a monster so many years later. So I have a picture with him and David Brock of Media Matters, two total villains, allegedly.
Oh. Yeah, I got a picture with Bob Baffert here at the Kentucky Derby the day before he got suspended for steroiding up the horses. He's been suspended for a couple of years, but got a picture with him the day before it all went down. It's weird. And of course, at Barney's Beanery, I'd play trivia with Nick Swartz and all those. I
got a picture with Nick Swartzen too.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a picture with him, but
bar in Minneapolis.
Oh yeah, so he's
not into scandalous stuff that I'm aware of.
Well, he would sit there close to where the Jim Morrison insignia, the little plaque, is at Barney's Beanery. He would sit here. The dude from Kid and Play, we'd play on the trivia team, and then the one time, what's the guy from Young Guns, from 24, the actor, Kiefer Sutherland. He just walks it that was the fun of being in Los Angeles. Like, you would turn around and it's literally, oh yeah, I know you. Hey, how's it going? Like, you don't really get that in it's not the same in Kentucky and Tennessee, but I digress. So we're going to talk about Dirty Diddy. Did he unravel corruption in the music industry? We're going to talk about Candace Owens. What is going on with her out at the Daily Wire? We're going to talk about Trump's real estate scandal. Is that a manufactured crime? Also, of course, TMTG. Trump has become an $8 billionaire overnight, I believe, if the breaking news is accurate. You heard he made $2 billion, then you heard he made $4 billion, and then you heard he made $8 billion. So it's like, it's just interesting to see the American people rallying around somebody who's definitely in the camp of political persecution, but it doesn't mean that the people are abandoning him in any way. So we'll talk about that. We'll ask about the DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Are they deliberately dismissing deportation cases? So there's a lot to talk about here. You got a little bit of a glare. Let me see. That's Nick.
Yeah, it's really too much of a glare.
What jersey does he have on? Number 2?
Vikings.
6?
I don't remember. I don't know. It was Vikings, but I don't remember who number 2 was.
Excellent.
Anyway.
Good times. Yeah, it's a small world. Blake with Diddy.
Yeah,
Now I can't say I've never crossed paths with him because I used to work all of these silly events, the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys. Like, these people were everywhere at all these parties, but I don't.
Yeah, you couldn't take pictures there. There was no way you were going to take your phone out at an Oscars party and be like, "Hey, can I get a selfie?"
No, I did get a photograph of me doing barbell curls with an Oscar, though. They're surprisingly heavy. I think they're like 12 or 13 pounds. So really? I did get that. But yeah, you don't pop your cameras out when you're working, or else you go home and you don't work anymore. So
I know, you don't. Cool events, man. It just seemed like some of those places, like Star Wars premiere. It was like, oh man, I got to get pictures. I can't.
Yeah, that's where you need a Google Glass. Like, you have your glasses, but like you're actually scanning the room, and that's where that would come in handy.
Those Hollywood parties were pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I got stories for days, but we'll talk about that later. All right, let's jump into the number one interesting thing happening in the news, unfortunately. It's not so good for American infrastructure. Let's discuss. Yeah, that song I was starting to sing earlier is "Heaven Isn't Too Far Away." I think you can remember back to like the late 80s, early 90s.
It's Warrant, isn't it?
Yeah, Heaven isn't too far away.
Oh, good old.
We'll find a way. Anyway, I digress. But that intro right there by Ted Distel of Distel Designs shows an upside down American flag, which is the universal signal of a nation in distress. And it sure feels like we are a nation in distress right now. I woke up to the news of something pretty horrific happening, and this is the Baltimore Bridge collapsing. Question is, Blake, was this an intentional act of sabotage? Is this something you would agree or disagree with? Intentional act of sabotage. If you were guessing, because there's a 72-hour rule, none of us jump to hard conclusions in the first 72 hours. We know that, but if we were guessing, what guess you? What say you?
I know I want to go into the conspiracy theory angle. I haven't seen all of it yet, but so far I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say this was just an accident. But I'm very willing. I'm very open-minded about changing my opinion, and I'm looking forward to hearing and witnessing all of the different points of view out there on that. I welcome it all, no matter how batshit insane it might be. Let's bring it out. Now, we definitely have a few on tap, so we'll see. So what do you think, Brian? Agree or disagree? Quick gut check. Because that's bold to say this is a deliberate act of sabotage. They, whatever, EMP'd or they did something, or maybe this was, I heard one thing that it was maybe a Ukrainian mission that was who's piloting the ship. There could be many different reasons. I was trying to find a good clip from Superman 3. I think there's a scene where they're trying to like sabotage some ships and reroute them. That was for an oil spill. That was a long time ago, but I couldn't find a specific clip that I wanted from that one. So,
well, do us a favor, Blake. If you find that later, tag us at American_media_. And of course, Blake is at TV's Blake Walley. Let me show you this. This is from Streamtime Live, Baltimore, Maryland, 1:24 in the morning. It's going to kind of walk you through step by step. Watch it. We want you to watch this ship here. It shows power loss number 1. I'll play it. All right, here we go. From the beginning, it's kind of a time lapse. Boat is chugging. Everything looks, kind of normal. Now it's slowed down to looks like real speed. Power loss number 1. Boom. All the lights go out. Cars are still driving across, and it's just kind of cascading. It's just kind of inertia is pushing it here. Recovery. Some lights come on, not all. Now there's thick smoke coming out of the top of this. And then the lights go off again. Then half the lights come back on again, and you see it changing direction there. Pretty much making a beeline for the posts. There's the collision, there's the smash, there's the crash, and the whole damn thing comes down. The whole damn thing comes down. I got a lot of thoughts on this, Blake, but number 1, let's talk about Pete Buttigieg focusing on, all the wrong things. But, something that reminds me, if you go to a gas station, they have those big metal posts outside of like the gas pumps themselves. In case a car goes the wrong direction, the big concrete reinforced post would theoretically stop the vehicle from smashing into the gas dispenser, causing an explosion and ruining their whole place. Why aren't there posts around these support beams on our major bridges in the country, Blake? Like, I'm just wondering, like, how is this something we've never considered doing? Now, forgive me, I'm sure we do to some capacity, but it was no match for what happened here. Just
it looks like
an engineering perspective, it seemed very easy to do this.
Yeah, it's like a Lego set. Like it was just made out of paper clips or something. Like it's a giant boat. I don't know how much it weighs, and it's only moving like 9 miles an hour. It's moving pretty slowly, but just the amount of force, and you can't stop when you're in the water and just maneuver like that. So yeah, it's almost seems a surprise that it's never happened before, and that just a bad lesson in physics, I guess. And you'd think maybe it would bounce off or crack or, I have no idea until we've actually seen that happen and just how fragile that giant bridge actually was once put up into pressure and hit that point. So, pretty breathtaking, but very tragic.
I was scrolling through and I'm finding, just the fluffiest, non-important stuff from Pete Buttigieg talking about roads being racist. And, we've had East Palestine, we've had problems with the ports off Southern California. This is a major port in the United States, Blake. Like everything coming into the greater DC, Baltimore area, it's all being routed different areas now. Those places are severely understaffed at this point, and people are very concerned that there's going to be a cascading effect of we're going to have supply chain problems, and we're also going to have not enough people to run security at the other places, which could make all of those ports vulnerable. So, I was watching the press release this morning, and I think it was the mayor, and he was just like, well, I don't want to even talk about getting the bridge rebuilt. I don't even want to talk about, right now we're just sending support to the families of it's like, bro, obviously our love and prayers go out to anybody affected. Now, to the port traffic, here's the situation. Port security, here's the situation. Everybody going to work today, here's the situation. This guy, all up in his feelings, couldn't put a rational thought together other than pushing away the reporters that were asking basic questions. And then you had, I believe it was the governor, doing the same thing. Have you been able to watch any video from the officials? Any thoughts on what we do now that all the traffic gets spread other places? Because logistically, this is a nightmare for the Northeast, and there could be real important supply chain problems now.
Yeah, it was strange to see. I got a glimpse of the mayor. He looks like he's like 20 years old. So it's strange that somebody that young is the mayor, or maybe he just looks really good for his age. I don't know, but that was the bizarre thing that I saw. think somebody made a mention that he looked like he was, running for like student council or something. And how is he the mayor? So I'm not sure what to say about that. Obviously it is a major port, and it's going to cause, as you said, major supply chain disruptions. And also, what a nightmare it would be for a commuter to go around. So now that's going to throw off your traffic industry. There's so many bad things that are going to happen as a result of this. So hope that they can find some way to fix this as soon as possible, because everyone's going to be affected by this on the East Coast to some degree, I would think, especially with the supplies. But I'm sure they'll have other ports that'll just get the extra work and have to pick up the extra shortage there. So it's we're waiting to see, because this is all fresh in our minds. So I don't know if you have, Brian, did you have a clip from the mayor making any kind of statements?
I don't have any in particular. If you had something, go for it. What I was trying to find was the overhead. I put it out on X. It was the overhead showing the route change to kind of make a complete 180 and go the opposite direction. And I had such flashbacks, if you will, to 9/11. I'm reading this here on X. This is from MJ Truth Ultra, not Jocelyn in Arizona, but MJ Truth Ultra. This person says, I spoke to a U.S. Navy vet who was a navigation. And by the way, we're all unpacking this. I'm not claiming any of this to be factual, but let's just hear what people are saying, and let's do our diligence on the story. Spoke to a U.S. Navy vet who was a navigation specialist. He shared some interesting facts with me. He says, once a ship like that loses power, it loses nearly all ability to steer, and definitely not enough to steer off the way it did. He believes it was intentional. He also shared that there are roughly 40 to 100 vessels that were immediately impacted, about to make port in Baltimore that no longer can, which now will have to be routed to Hampton Roads, Virginia, the port of Virginia. This poses immediate security and safety concerns, as now the port will be severely overwhelmed for what is believed to be several months at the least. It's a logistical nightmare, and we're talking backlog shipments of various items, so it's not immediately known what supply chains could be impacted. Not just that, Port Authority will have to have their ears to the ground for potential dangers inside the containers, the dirty kind. We've all had that gut feeling that things will intensify this year. Pray for our country and keep God close to you. I actually did now just find the clip I was trying here. This one, let me full screen this if I may, if it'll let me. There we go. Let's start it from the beginning. Starting at 4:38 in the morning, it takes off, heading up this way towards Savannah on the Patapsco River. And then around 4:56, it starts making a U-turn, making a big loop-de-loop here, and just kind of makes a beeline. Making a beeline directly down. It's now 5:18. Closing in on the bridge here. And then at roughly 5:30 UTC, it hits. It just, watching this, I just remember seeing all those plane graphics showing, this is over Pennsylvania. This is in the Pentagon. This is in a cornfield somewhere. It's just, I just got all of those flashbacks, Blake. I don't know if this is intentional, but
right.
I definitely.
Well, I've also seen it posted that there were like charges set there. That's also reminiscent of 9/11, is that they had bombs in certain areas that make it look like it's a controlled demolition. But right. I'll pull that clip up. Actually, let me just pull up this one real quick from the mayor, just to give you guys a quick chance to see.
Yeah, this might have been what I saw this morning. It was really just disappointing.
Yeah, look at that. It looks like he's fresh out of high school. Here we go. That's what he says. He looks like
he's got his Letterman jacket on.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Here we go.
Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to first and foremost pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local, to make sure that
everyone. I'm totally fine with that leading the press conference. I'm totally fine with that being right up front at the beginning. All the families impacted. We're out here, we're trying everything we can. If there's anyone that we can save, like that's our number one goal. All right, now moving on to he just never moved on to the other stuff. He just, but I love I think it's important to call out to, I think there is some sort of omnipotent, omniscient force, call it God, call it what you want. I like that. But he had nothing to back nothing after that. It was just, he kept reverting back to point number one. It's like, knock, knock. Are you even home? Anyway.
Well, I don't know what his age is. I'll have to look him up there, but I don't expect him to come out with something that's sophisticated, like a seasoned adult who's spent a lifetime, in public service to act. So I don't know what's going on there in Baltimore.
He's named Brandon Scott. He was born in 1984, 39 years old. Mayor of Baltimore since 2020, Democrat.
Wow, good for him. But I don't know. This is the leadership here. I'm not criticizing it. So, it's obviously going to be a group effort, and the whole city's going to have to get involved, and that's going to really mess things up for a while. It's really going to be catastrophic to the city of Baltimore and all the people commuting or in those industries. So, but we can check out some of the there's some other alternative theories out there, and how, like I said, it seems to be an accident to me. But then, how does the power go out on that boat? And could it have been a controlled demolition? Let's take a look. Actually, I've got a quick video here.
Oh, was there any more from Brandon? Was he going to go any more? I don't know. Sorry, I jumped all over that video.
That's all I've got. It's just one 19-second clip.
I watched it, and it was like over and over, he kept just saying, look, we're not going to even talk about all these things right now. It's like, that's what you're here for. Anyway, it was very, I don't know. It was unfortunate, but aside from controlled explosives, there's a lot of vehicles. Michael Hastings, remember Michael Hastings was reporting on stuff that people didn't want reported on. It's
that was an audacious assassination there by probably Brennan, CIA, take out Michael Hastings.
And so the theory was that they hacked his car and they were able to drive at 120 miles an hour into a palm tree. And then the engine flew about a football field in the opposite direction, something they had never seen before, according to reports that I dug into at the time. But what if this vehicle was commandeered and steered? That's what it looked like to me, that it was definitely steered into that. Now, that could just be coincidental. I don't know. But what is this heat map that you have here? What's this one?
That's why I wish I could get that Superman 3 clip, because it was with Richard Pryor as the computer genius. And they have him reroute stuff like a weather satellite and reroute all these ships to go in the middle of the ocean. It would have been interesting to see if that's something plausible or relatable. But I don't have that clip, unfortunately. But what I do have is a little clip here from Ben Davidson, Suspicious Observers, who's always talking about, the solar effects on electricity. No, he's not going into the conspiracy theory on this, but it is plausible we might see more of this type of activity as the Earth's magnetic field is weakening and we're taking solar flares from the sun. They can have a devastating impact on our electrical infrastructure. So we'll check out part of this clip.
This tells us a great deal about the state of Earth's magnetic field decrease. We've taken many X-flares in the past. We've taken X10s without grid outages before. But with the weakening of our planetary shield and the ongoing pole shift, this is becoming a serious concern, just like the auroras we saw break records last year. The purple signature here was way more than expected from this event, and it is not a good sign for our future. Now, lastly today, people have been asking if the trickling solar storm energy could have impacted that barge in Baltimore that took out the bridge. First, there is absolutely no way to know for sure. But what we do know is that after the ionosphere took the brunt of the impact, last night, you can see the correction of that electric layer above our heads, which means the energy was being injected downward through the global electric circuit. That is when major power lines ground magnetic anomalies and conductive pathways like rivers are expected to take the most impact. Furthermore, that barge clearly had two major power outages in the lead up to the crash and a possible engine fire indicated by thick black smoke. You are watching those outages and smoke release here just before the crash that took out the bridge. The power came back on seconds before impact, but it was too late. Again, neither I nor anyone else could tell you for sure that the barge took an impact from the solar storm right before it hit that bridge, but the factors that would make it possible were in fact all there, and that is where we have to leave it. Last little note.
Okay.
And it just collapsed it like popsicle sticks, Blake. Just awful. We gotta find a better way to engineer a bridge. Shouldn't that be like segmented, where the next segment's not like some strap where one going down isn't going to cause a cascading domino? Like, I'm just a guy on the internet that researches news and gives you the truth, but I feel like I could have engineered something that wouldn't have a domino effect, and that would be the number one most important thing to consider when making any bridge anywhere. But what do I know? I'm just a guy.
Yeah, Fred, none of this has ever happened before. A boat hitting a post and, seeing the bridge get rattled. Or what kind of an impact. They should have like models and computers that, figure this kind of stuff out. What would happen if there was an accident, or what if there was, I don't know, just a lot of wind or a lot of waves or what have you. So this is just never happened like this before. But
well, don't worry. Our federal government is hard at work talking about how freeways are racist. Pete Buttigieg really pushing that divisive Democrat deep state crap agenda. Jocelyn jumping in here. Hey, Jocelyn, thanks for joining us. Dreamer, hello, everybody. Jump into the comments. Just give us a one-word answer. Was this an accident or intentional? Accidental or intentional? But Jocelyn says that Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner. What symbolism is afoot in the destroyed bridge being named after him? Exactly. It's like on 9/11 when the two companies that had the hijacked planes, they were United and American. Very specific. What was the date? 9/11. What are the first three numbers that you press in an emergency? 911. It's all coincidental, or none of it's coincidental, or whatever. It's obviously the key bridge, and it's the key bridge for the Northeast. It's one of the key bridges on the eastern seaboard of our country. And by the way, let's not forget what CIA did in our with Russia. Our Congress never voted to go to war with Russia, but in part because of the overthrow in 2014 with Victoria Nuland, Obama, Biden, the deep state, the thing they impeached Trump over because he stumbled across the overthrow so they could steal all the energy from Burisma in that region, keep it from Russia. We are in an actual war, and they knocked down what is it, Blake? Not the Keystone Pipeline, the Keystone XL, or what was what was the name of the energy supply line that the U.S. took out and they blamed on Russia?
Oh, the Nord Stream pipelines?
Nord Stream. Thank you. Jeez, I was stuck on the Keystone Pipeline. Nord Stream. I mean, at what point when a nation is under attack do they start attacking the infrastructure of the country behind it? It's not about Ukraine. It's the United States pushing an undeclared war and we saw in between our shows, Blake. I know, we had it in the stack. I don't know what else there is to add, but Russia got attacked with a massive terrorist attack. And there's people out there, we tweeted out some of the information that we're finding, trying to find out if the translations are accurate and if the news is accurate. But we're reading reports that they've caught the perpetrators. They are being interrogated. That's a friendly word for being tortured to death. And they are singing, and that they have identified the United States and Ukraine behind the attacks. ISIS, of course, was super prominent, came out of nowhere except under Biden, Obama, and the deep state Democrats. Trump comes in, what happens? ISIS is wiped out in about a month, pretty quick, whatever it was, 6 months, a year, completely wiped out because it was John McCain and the deep state who were funding ISIS. Rebels So who? Oh, it's ISIS. It's moderate rebels. So it seems. So then the question comes up: is it possible that the Key Bridge attack, the Francis Scott Key Bridge attack, was retaliation? Oh, you're damn right. It's possible. Do I know that to be true? No. But like I said, I also know that we're supposed to declare war in Congress if we do. And everything happening in Russia is the United States and the UN pushing onto those borders in Ukraine and instigating this whole damn thing, funding it, holding up our budget and threatening our own national security at our southern border in favor of Ukraine. So I don't know what to make of that aspect either, Blake. I mean, what did you make of the attacks in Russia over the weekend at the concert venue mall? I made the mistake of watching some videos, and it's all traumatizing. It's all terrible. But what did you make of all that, and who do you think's behind it?
Right. The main thing I saw was Jack Posobiec, and he was on, I think, Steve Bannon, and he was talking about that. And it doesn't seem like there's any indication that they were ISIS. It's only the American media that's trying to make that, or trying to point the blame that direction. It looks like they were from Ukraine and that they were recruited on Telegram. And yeah, they were all caught and they were talking, and none of them mentioned anything about ISIS. So I'm not believing that. And ISIS hasn't really seemed to be that much of a threat. But yeah, if they can just find an enemy to blame it on, they don't want it to look at, Ukraine or the CIA, and also look at Victoria Nuland, who was making a kind of those threatening mentions that so they were going to pull some, dirty tricks on Putin or what have you. So it looks like all fingers should be pointing at Nuland, the CIA, and Ukraine, not ISIS. But beyond that, I don't know. Oh, you found an old clip from Superman 3. This isn't going to be the one I was referring to, but it's there are some interesting parallels. I don't know what to make of all that. But yes, this is also from Office Space. We're talking about Mike Judge movie, but they were talking about, getting the fractions of pennies. We won't get into too much into the weeds here too much, but Richard Pryor is recruited by his kind of criminal CEO to do some computer shenanigans.
And by the way, the Mike Judge and fractions of a penny per transaction. I mean that's what Jimmy Haslam did. He ran the Pilot Flying J franchise. The owner of the Cleveland Browns. He was prosecuted for stealing rebates. Little fractions of transactions they hoped would never get noticed, and you just kind of get away with it and make yourself filthy rich in the process. They say you can shave a sheep 1,000,000 times, but you can skin it only once. So if you just take fractions of a penny, and they used to do that with silver coins and gold coins, they would just shave down the edges. They would just get just a little bit off the edges, make them thinner and thinner and thinner, and then you could melt down all those shavings and get extra coins out of it. So, it's technology, but it's the concept of stealing a little bit at a time, like Johnny Cash's song, steal one part of a Cadillac each day until you have a whole car in your driveway. It's a tale as old as time. But yeah, let's just play a moment here since you brought this up and I was able to find something.
Okay. All right. Let's get
1983. I haven't watched this in so long. Look at these advanced computer systems.
Right.
Both keys must be inserted at the same time. God, Richard Pryor.
Both keys at the same time? Oh!
You can't reach both at the same time, of course. All right. Yeah, that was not your scene, but that was a scene from Richard Pryor in Superman.
Yeah, it was a strange movie, but it was had some really good parts and some interesting concepts in it. And yeah, when computers were fresh and exciting. But cool movie. Too bad we can't get the exact scenes, but There are
Maybe
some
we could look
parallels.
for later. If we find it, share it out on X. Blake's at TV's Blake Walley, and the New American Media is at American_media_. Jocelyn adds, choke off Baltimore, and you've cut the main north-south hazardous corridor, I-95, in half. Now have to go around the city or go somewhere else. I mean, look, if you were going to strategically, and by the way, who's more practiced up on shutting people down strategically than Russia right now? They've been getting attacked for 2 years by the United States through their proxy of Ukraine. And like, they're in warfare mode. If you wanted to, you would, of course, isolate corridors. Of course, you would chop distribution panels in half. Jocelyn says they chose a full moon, so they had maximum tidal shift, the rise and fall, brisk flow in that river. Jocelyn says for every $100 going into the city, $12 comes from shipping. This will cripple Baltimore. That's not great. And Jocelyn asks, why haven't the White House released a statement on this yet? That is weird. I did see some reporting that the United States government is going to be paying for the for the rebuild of the bridge. I don't know. Still trying to figure that out. Didn't appear to be from an official account, but we're learning this in real time here. We are watching the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. All right, Blake, do you have more to share on this page here?
Well, speaking of Jocelyn, she likes Cliff High. I find Cliff High very interesting. He's makes a lot of bold predictions. Some are batshit insane. He is a paranoid schizophrenic, but he's also a genius. He's also, yes, really exceptional with computers, and he does believe in a lot of these conspiracies. Or, he also points to perhaps, well, I won't get into too much of the woo stuff, but yeah, he's an interesting character to follow, and he is not buying that this was just an accident. It looks like it, I don't know. What do I know? But we'll have to wait a little while before we jump to any conclusions. But here he's saying they are using no indication that it was deliberate, which of course they would say no matter what, so that won't last long. Be prepared for what is coming. It's hyper novelty expressing itself when your mind knows it's reading lies. And then we'll go on to what the next post is saying. Baltimore Bridge. Holy crap. Let's see what the engineers have to say about this then. Why would there be flames? Surely metal and concrete don't spontaneously combust. Obviously, there would be sparks via friction. Now, I am not an engineer, so I do not know, but I will entertain all possibilities. So here's one of the conspiracies being posted. I haven't even seen this clip, but we'll watch it right now.
I'm going to show you, I just showed a video. If you go back, a boat crashed here, but you can see dynamite being let off at every single point. I'm going to do it again. So we have here, charges, boom.
So it's like the charges and the columns and the 9/11 in the in the building.
On the copy before this, you can clearly see it happened 6 or 7 times. I went right down the line showing each and every fire point. But my point to this video is, let's not get distracted by this here. Let's keep these videos going like they'd like us to cover, but make sure you put...
I mean, it seems hard to believe that they would get the timing down that well to get this ship to crash, and then the black smoke coming out of the barge, and then the power going out, and then boom, they're gonna all of a sudden coordinate that with dynamite on the steel beams. I mean, maybe it's possible. That would be a hell of an operation to pull off. I don't think they would need to make it that sophisticated if they really just wanted a terror attack to take down the bridge and weaken America by targeting our infrastructure. So I'm still sticking with the accident, but of course I'm absolutely willing to, like I said, entertain all possibilities. Here's one. I don't know, Brian, I think maybe you sent me this one from Ian Meals Chong. This Key Bridge thing is just wild, saying that one of the masters of the Dali cargo ship that crashed into the bridge was allegedly Ukrainian. Now, keep in mind, this could just be an online hoax. I also heard, where else did they say it was from Singapore or something? I'm not entirely sure.
I believe Singapore was the country that had the flag of the ship. That's my understanding.
Okay. Yeah, so some are saying maybe it's got some Ukrainian ties. I do not know. How about let's take a look at Health Ranger and Dr. Jane Ruby. Health Ranger says the reports ship lost power and lost positive control. Could be a mechanical failure, sabotage, incompetence. And then Dr. Jane Ruby is saying, PSYOP. I'm not quite sure. I guess that's really all there was to that one. But this is going to take a couple days to kind of go over everything and to see what makes the most sense. For now, this is all like breaking stories. This is all just within the last 14 hours or so.
Yeah, like 1 o'clock in the morning. So definitely not even a day. We're unpacking it. I'm watching that video and I'm seeing those cars going across, watching them going, oh my God, imagine, Blake, have you seen that movie Final Destination?
Yeah.
You know, like one thing changes. If you were 5 seconds earlier, if you stopped to tie your shoe, if you went through the drive-through and said, like, anything could have changed, and you're watching them barely get off of this thing before the whole thing comes down. And then it had me thinking about, you're supposed to have glass in case of emergency devices right there at your seat that can cut your seatbelt and bust through the windows. Do you have one of those, Blake, in every car that you drive in?
For what now? In the car?
Yeah. So I have it on the back of several utensils or knives, and it's got this dot, and it's like a pointed dot. And if you tap it onto a windshield, it just collapses and it just completely crumbles.
Oh, yeah.
In case of, and then on the back of it, it's got a little hook, and you grab it, it slices right through your seatbelt in case you get submerged and now everything's getting heavy and you can't see and you're upside down. Like I just went, geez, do I even know where that is in my car right now? Because I switched vehicles within, about a year ago, and I'm like, I don't know that I have that. Just so many thoughts run through your head about preparedness in general. It's awful to see, and it was awful to see that attack in Russia over the weekend. It's also stupid and pointless, and everybody was playing those videos of Victoria Nuland warning and laughing about we're gonna have surprises for Russia, we're gonna have surprises for Putin, and it's like, I don't recall the United States declaring war on Russia. I think Congress gets a say here. What the actual fuck is going on? I'm supposed to like this country. I'm supposed to be Team America, World Police, waving my band. You like the Vikings, I like the Cleveland Browns, but we were supposed to like the United States of America. But and of course people are now blaming the Russian attack on Israel and Mossad and their intelligence forces. The Diddy story is connected because a lot of the same handlers on the Epstein side of things appear to be on the Diddy side of things. Well, maybe story, unless you have more to wrap this one up. But man, it's just, there's a lot. Everybody's trying to figure out what's actually happening on this planet right now, and it's also convoluted backward. It's just tough to get through. So, do you have anything else to add on this story, Blake?
I was looking at this tweet from Jimmy Corsetti, who is incredible. He's a good researcher, but I don't know if he's trolling or what. Saying, oh my God, this can't be a coincidence. A ship that crashed into the Key Bridge was headed to Sri Lanka. The flag of Sri Lanka is a lion. The ship in the opening scene of Barack Obama's Leave the World Behind is named the White Lion. But I don't know. I'm not sure if he's just trolling. People are saying it's a conspiracy. Yeah, you can connect the dots many different ways, but I don't know. So it's too early.
I saw somebody making fun of Andrew Tate for, just kind of, you can Michael Hastings a vehicle. It was in Leave the World Behind. You take over the Teslas. Now you're controlling them like a remote control car, like a drone. I was also seeing a drone attack, a Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian power base that I think was from today. I don't even know. You can't tell anything in war. You don't know true casualties. You don't really know who's behind these things. 72-hour rule. We're just trying to unpack it. Tag us at American_media_ on X and hit Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley as we unpack the rest of this story. But
Brian, we have to move quick because I've only got about 15 minutes, and you can cover whatever else we got to? Well, yeah, we'll definitely, let's hit the P. Diddy story. I think those are obviously the two biggest ones of the day. There's a few odds and ends. Yeah, we didn't get to some of that stuff with Candace Owens, or we did cover the Russian attack. So we kind of agree to it's probably not ISIS.
Or it is ISIS and the deep state's behind it because they are the henchmen. You know, it's like who's running Mexico? It's the cartels. And if the United States wanted to shut down the border, they would. They're working with the cartels. They want the fentanyl here. They want the human smuggling. These people are fucking up everything they touch. Everything. They leave sorrow in their wake. Every shit decision that they make, they just trash another part of our country. If the deep state, if the powers that be wanted this country to not have human trafficking like slavery in modern day, it wouldn't be happening. If they didn't want people zombified in our cities on fentanyl and overdosing hundreds of thousands a year, it wouldn't be happening. So they have to be in cahoots with the cartels running Mexico right now. It's like everything is backwards and upside down. You know, it's not like Trump is going to come in like Superman and fix everything with a magic wand. That's a callback to Superman, of course. But my God, it's like if wrong decision, we've had every bad decision for 3 years in a row. And I just don't know how much more this country can take. So anyhow, I don't know what Jocelyn's mentioning about being mind-boggling and our observation being spot on, but thank you. We will take that point, and we appreciate you watching. So what do we know about Diddy? This was yesterday's.
All right.
Of course, Cat Williams said 2024, everything will be revealed. And he called Diddy out by name. And man, Cat Williams seems to be a prophet on that Shannon Sharp show. I'll tell you what. So what do we know about this? Did he flee? What's the latest? What do we got?
Yeah, let's check this out because this is another big, huge story. And it's been just breaking over the last 24 hours or so. Private jet owned by music mogul Sean Diddy Combs tracked to Caribbean island mid federal raids. I know he's got raids. Sorry, he's got at least two of his homes, one in Miami, one in L.A. that the feds are going through. He had a private jet, and he went to Antigua. I don't know if that's going to be if he's trying to get away from extradition laws. But I don't know if that would be the place to go or not, or if were they refueling or what have you. Where he's going? Is he fleeing? Why would he just suddenly leave the country all of a sudden? But yes, and as you were pointing out, Cat Williams had that explosive interview with Shannon Sharp. I didn't even get to see all of it.
You gotta watch it, Blake. I got a hunch this season of America. There's going to be a lot that Cat talked about coming to light. He said 2024, this is all being brought to light. There's nothing that can stop. Like it was, please watch it. It's very interesting.
I'd love to watch it. I know it's like 2 hours. I've seen like 15 minutes of it. I just got, there's so many videos. I just never have enough time to watch it, but I did get to see enough of the clips. And yeah, you're right. He did say 2024. It's going to be like, reckoning for this dirty side of the music industry.
Lord willing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Puff Daddy Combs, he's been accused of drugging and sexually assaulting. Well, he says young women. It's also men. It's pretty extensive. It's pretty disgusting. Let's see. We'll take another one. Searches at his homes related to an ongoing sex trafficking investigation. So here's some of the pictures here. And then we've got, what else? We got even Prince Harry. No, he was just kind of linked loosely. He's not going to be in court or anything. He was just using him to boost his legitimacy as his mansions were raided. Here it is out of the Daily Mail. Found a lot of victims by, getting involved with a lot of celebrities and the pretty nasty side of the music industry, which is much worse than most people have any idea.
By the way, you brought up the royal family. Kate Middleton announced that she has cancer, or if you believe the conspiracy theories, her ring disappears on her hand, and it's clearly artificial intelligence generated. That's not her. She's been gone for a long time. Just a lot of weirdness out of the royal family right now with Prince Charles, all sorts of cancers. People are, the Queen. It looks like the Pope might be on the way out. Just a lot of changes of batter are happening in key positions across. So, yeah, Diddy's been rumored to be on the wrong side of goodness for a very long time. And, you know, the one thing about this, though, we saw with the Epstein case and a lot of others, do you trust the feds to gather information, or do you trust the feds to gather information to cover up what's been happening? Because if this is a federal deep state op, of course they're gonna cover it up. They don't want their schemes to get out there. They go to a lot of effort to bribe and blackmail these people. They don't want you to know that they're the monsters in the shadows at night. They just want to blame it on Diddy, blame it on this Epstein feller that looks like a Muppet. No, it's definitely not the people pulling their puppet strings. So, you know, that's the concern. Are they going to now destroy the evidence so you never find out how bad it is, just like Epstein? And that's a question we're just going to have to wait and see. And we've heard no contact from Diddy anywhere. He's just been radio silent for a full day.
Well, yeah, we can't blame him. Yeah.
Well,
and I don't think he would have to say anything. He doesn't want to incriminate himself. He's not that dumb, but he would have to have
a warrant out for him, or just to search the place. That's the part I wasn't quite clear on.
I'm not quite clear on it either. But yes, I think Candace Owens was saying something to that effect, is that they're just going to find it to cover it up. But I don't think they can stop what's coming. We'll see.
Well, tell me about Candace Owens being out at Daily Wire, because we got to move fast. And I other than the feds raided 2 Diddy homes, I don't know what else to tell you about this story other than Cat Williams predicted it. And there's a lot of people that have him at the top of the list with his white parties and stuff. So we'll follow it and we'll give you updates. But yeah, look at that picture there. That's how you connect Epstein with Diddy. Is that the same girl? I mean, it kind of looks like the same girl. I don't know for certain. Are these actual pictures? I don't know. But what do we have there, Blake? Can you full screen that?
That's as much as it goes. This is right on X.
Okay.
It just says there's a common denominator between Epstein, Pat Maxwell, and Pete Diddy. And it's the person who took 2 of these pictures and appears with former President Bill Clinton on Epstein's plane in the 3rd picture. In the 4th pic, she's with Diddy, who is Rachel Chandler, the child handler.
What a weird rhyming name. Rachel Chandler, the child handler. Gross.
Yep. And then we got Justin Bieber speaking out. It's coming unraveled. So hopefully all the good people in the industry can expose what's going on. They don't have to be intimidated into silence by these monsters that have sold out. We've got Liz Croak. Yeah, 50 Cent even saying, Diddy done. 50's all over social media calling him out on Instagram. No one listened, and this shit is a movie. So here's some of these clips. Here's from 50 Cent here. Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case. Yeah, where they actually just raid his mansion.
Well, but we saw them do that to Trump as well. Trump didn't have his highly sensitive top secret documents next to a Camaro and a crackhead. He didn't have them in a Chinese laundromat. He didn't have them in some closet in an apartment somewhere. Like, he had them under lock and key of 3 levels of security on a private floor with private security. Double locked. They made him double lock, and they still did the perp walk with him. So I wouldn't trust 50 Cent's rationale there. Well, if they come out and try to intimidate a person, they're clearly guilty. Like, let's avoid that line of thinking. But, who would know more than Diddy? I'm sorry, rather than 50 about Diddy. I feel like I'm talking to a kindergarten. Who knows Diddy about 50? Diddy about 50? Diddy about 50? Or I'm like talking to animals or something at this point. Anyway, okay, so we'll follow this as we get more info. But what do we know about Candace being out over there? Because that was an intimidating thing, trying to, make her toe the party line. And the same thing about Trump's real estate scandal in another effort at intimidation. Quickly touching on these on our way out.
Yeah, and the kind of lightning round here. Candace Owens out of the Daily Wire after criticizing Israel. That might be, part of it. Obviously, it seemed like is getting very contentious there with her and Ben Shapiro. Very polar opposites on their views over Israel. And I appreciate a lot of what Candace Owens does. And I'm not a big fan of Benny Boy, as you may know. But yeah, it's curious. So it's probably part of this. Also, I know she made that very explosive allegation geared towards Macron's wife being a dude, which
she staked her entire political reputation on this being true. She said, I'm moving everything in, my entire reputation. I believe it that firmly. Just that's her saying it.
That was bold. And I think she's really is one of the more interesting characters out there. But that one might be a little too far. I'm not even digging that much into that. But yeah, for a variety of different reasons, she's going to be out at the wire. But I know there was a lot of major pressure to get her out of there, especially for the alleged anti-Semitic stuff.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, enough with all of the attacks. Anytime you look, we can have disagreements, and it's like not everything is racist, misogynist, anti-Semitic. It's these lame catch-all phrases to once again threaten and intimidate the other side. I mean, no, I'm not saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Like, that's the point. They just want you backpedaling like a Scooby-Doo character. It's like you're allowed to discuss every single issue on its merits in any time. Racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, anti-Semite. Shut up. Discuss the issue. Don't deflect. That's a red herring. Focus on the issue. I don't want to hear any of the name calling. What is the issue at hand? Focus. So I'm losing enormous respect for people that just double down on that as like their default answer. And I think we all should judge each issue on the merit of the issue and question the motivation of somebody who's going to instantly turn to attacking you with one of those goofy phrases. So that's my thought on it.
No, I agree. Good stuff. And yeah, she'll be on her own. She can go do her own thing. And we'll see. Hopefully she doesn't get her reputation ruined by the Macron allegations or anything else.
See.
But,
okay, well, what about Trump and his scandal?
There's another scandal with Steven Crowder again. Isn't that not Gay Jarrett or something? Candace Owens was calling out Crowder again. This is a recent breaking story. Also, Owen Benjamin here.
Hold on, I didn't see it. What is it about, though? What's the gist of it?
I haven't even seen it. It's a 15-minute clip. I was thinking maybe you had seen part of it, but I haven't even gotten to it yet.
But I think Not Gay Jared's from Ohio, just like I am. I think he's a Cleveland sports fan. So I need to connect with this guy. I know he was forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
And Brown's couch or something. Like he's got Cleveland.
Yeah, not the Diddy casting couch, but the Cleveland Browns couch. Okay. Well, if you can tweet that out and tag me, I will look into that. All right, we only have you for like a minute or two, right? I don't know if you had.
Yeah.
On
well,
Trump.
Basically, yeah. It's one of those things. Crowder's a monster, awful boss, puts everybody under NDAs, and then does all kinds of legal intimidation against them and retaliation. So he's again under fire for destroying people's careers that dare go against his wishes. Anyway, what else do we have? A couple of other quick highlights.
Yeah, because Trump he was down to the wire. He had to pay $454 billion. I mean, absolute Eighth Amendment violating trash. There's not even any aggrieved party that lost anything. It's just the most absurd thing. These people all need to be disbarred. Letitia James and Engeron and all of the people attached, Alvin Bragg, they need to lose. This is treason. It's election interference and civil rights violations. But anyway, they reduced the amount that he had to pay to like $154 billion. They asked, how are you securing this bond? He said, cash, like a boss. And then TMTG and this stuff going live took him to $8 billion, making him one of the 200 wealthiest people on the planet, allegedly. How do you sum up what we got with Trump here? With Tim Pool? What is this?
Well, this is interesting. Okay, last night, so every Monday, Jon Stewart does, takes over for the Daily Show, like Jay Leno won the Tonight Show back in the day. But he was critical of Trump and all the money he owed and all this kind of this kind of white collar victimless crime stuff. People are getting away with things, but it's still corruption that should be exposed. Blah blah blah. And I like Jon Stewart a lot, but I think this was a bad take. And now we just maybe potentially just got exposed here in the hypocrisy by Tim Pool. And he called him out directly and said, did Jon Stewart commit fraud when he sold his penthouse for $17.5 million, because New York listed its market value at $1.8 million. And so who did he defraud? I am shocked. And this shows the headlines. I guess this may be from years ago when Jon Stewart sold his penthouse for $17 million, and the estimated value was 1.8. So, there is sorts of these real estate things.
Yeah, it's like 10x, 9x, 10x. Yeah, that's a little over valuation. But yeah, everybody everywhere, you try to devalue on one side, you try to highly value on the other. Like, that is the point of an asset. That is what you insure it for. That's what everybody wants. You want to buy low and sell high. There's no complexity to this game. But if you take out a loan and you pay it all back and they're happy to have done business with you, like, that's the end of it. And it was hilarious how no, it's only a $15 million place. Then they go on MSNBC going, well, he's going to have to liquidate that. Probably get about $400 million for it. It's like, this is the most absurd stuff. We're truly on a stupid timeline. So, yeah. That's that. I guess any final thoughts on the DHS on your way out the door? Are they deliberately dismissing deportation cases? Ooh, a lot of syllables in that one.
Yes, I am going to agree with that. So I guess roughly 200,000 immigration deportation cases were dismissed after the Department of Homeland Security failed to file the paperwork. So they've had to throw out 200,000 cases because they failed to, the deportation paperwork. So you have these notices to appear. So people come into the country illegally and they say, okay, well, you can stay here, but you got to show up in court in a few years. And then when they do, all of a sudden, there's no paperwork there. And so they just kind of get lost in the system. So is it deliberate? I'm going to say yes. It seems like the people that are in charge of keeping the homeland safe and secure are deliberately leaving the border open, letting anybody in, and they're basically encouraging it, and then they're not even like strict on trying to send them back.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if America can survive this, Blake. It's going to be an interesting 2024, and so we'll encourage all of you to follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X. In thenextlevelnews.com. Blake has to run on a tight timeline today. Any final points, any thoughts, any words of wisdom out the door, Mr. Walley?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as we these things develop with these stories. These are massive stories potentially. If this Baltimore barge issue, if it does turn out to be a conspiracy, because we didn't know after 9/11, it took a few days for people to start putting all those pieces together. This is a little simpler to follow, but we'll see if the conspiracy theories hold up. Again, I'm going to lean towards accident until I see something more substantial, but certainly awful, tragic.
Wasn't that your wrestling name up in your semi-pro wrestling days in Minneapolis, the Baltimore Barge?
No, not at all.
I might be confusing with somebody else.
Definitely confusing.
But you're right. Like a lot of these stories with we have the introductory. Here's what happened. Now we got to spin it backwards and figure out exactly how we got there, from the Russian attacks to the Baltimore barge to Diddy. A lot of these are unraveling stories, and we just encourage you to follow us as we unpack them. Go ahead.
Well, I was saying Jay-Z also is mentioned in there. There's a few big prominent names, and yes, people deserve transparency. The bad people need to be out of those positions of power. They've abused. They get all that money, and then they can start doing what they want and start abusing the people around them, and it's awful. So
from Steven Crowder to Diddy, that's the theme of.
Well, today. Imagine what would happen if Steven Crowder had another $200 million or something. Yeah. Would you want to work for him? Probably not. It's bad enough from half the stuff I've heard is even true. Yeah. It doesn't sound good. But whatever. He's small fish compared to, I don't think he's running sex trafficking. Yeah, treats his employees like shit. I feel bad for his ex-wife there. Maybe she'll Candace Owens is inviting her to speak. We'll see. So we need some good people to not be, intimidated into silence by these NDAs. So, but I don't think it's anywhere near the level of what P. Diddy was involved in.
No. P. Diddy, Epstein, all this stuff. Bring it all down. Like
Yep.
we need to put the monsters in the cages where they belong. It's
There you
one
go.
thing to be super into music and parties and sexual activity. It's another to be a predator and to be violating people. Like you go, this is even remotely okay. This is way past Cosby, and that's not okay. Even though they were in like a drug and hookup culture at the time. I digress. But yeah, let's expose it and bring it all down. Cat Williams might have been onto something, and so have we. Blake, follow him at TV's Blake Walley in the Next Level News. Thank you for joining us on today's show, Blake. We'll talk to you soon. Thursday should be good. 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So there is Blake heading on out today. And of course, we try to do these shows every Tuesday and Thursday. If you have any comments, type them now. Anything I forgot, any story that you want me to cover real quick, I'll try to scan it and see if it goes into the chat so that we can talk about it. I mean, it's just such a busy news day. I mean, Blake and I have been doing shows for more than a decade. And, you know, the one thing I couldn't stand is when we would get on and do a show and Blake would be like, oh, it's a slow news day. I'm like, there's no such thing as a slow news day. We always have to have some stuff in the can ready to talk about, stories to call back on. If you're going to join us, we better bring something to the table. Be entertaining, be informative, be funny, engaging, thought-provoking, intentional with what we're putting out there. And by the way, it's kind of nice when we're not running our news through the filter of what a corporation wants us to say. In order to do that, of course, you know, there is overhead involved. And as I am switching my corporation to my new location with the New American Media, there are lots of filing fees and state fees, and there's websites and there's hosting fees, and you know, it gets into the thousands very quickly. So if any of you appreciate what we're doing here at the New American Media, just trying to provide you information as we're finding it with no particular slant other than what we suspect to be accurate, a couple ways to help with that. Number one, we want you to follow us in all of the places, and I'll tell you what those are in a second. But try to link up with the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show in more places than you're watching right now. If you're one of the people who are watching live on X, thank you. Thank you so much. They are actually allowing our message to go out. On YouTube, it is throttled. On Facebook, it is throttled. I sure hope real soon we're going to have an update on the Biden Supreme Court case where they were influencing, threatening, bribing, blackmailing, whatever you want to call it, coercing. There's a good word, coercing. Social media companies to silence and shadow ban and derank and deboost and really throw episodes down the memory hole. These people have to be punished. And the Supreme Court has a unique opportunity here. I hope I get to talk to you on our next episode and really break down how the Supreme Court just destroyed the White House efforts to violate our First Amendment rights. So where Facebook is not helping us, YouTube is not helping us, we have opened other spots. So number one place that you could help assist us in the funding of the New American Media is patreon.com/the New American Media. I think we have like a cup of coffee a month. I think we have the Netflix a month. So it's like if you want to do $4 a month or $15 a month, go ahead. I think we have an angel investor tier. If you have way more money than you have time, I think it's either $1,000 or $10,000 a month. If you want to really support us, sign up for these reoccurring things on patreon.com/the New American Media. Whatever you can do, it's all appreciated. But we are growing the podcast side of things. All of our shows are put onto Spotify. So go to Spotify. We're called the Agree to Disagree Show because we should be able to have a conversation and not just get hung up on, I don't agree with you on Candace Owens. You know, that thing about Israel, blah, 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 blah. You go, okay, let's just agree to disagree on that and keep going. There's 40 other topics I'd rather talk about instead of just, no, I want to get on a hamster wheel and just argue with you about this one fine point. Robble, robble, robble. Well, I don't. I press agree to disagree and let's move on. Let's keep conversation. Oh, Kenneth, I appreciate you. And Kenneth mentions it every time, Venmo. I don't have a company Venmo, but here, I'm going to write it on the to-do list. company Venmo. I do have a PO box. Yeah, that's PO box. What is that? 43671. 43671. How do I? What's the address of that? It's Louisville, Kentucky 40253. PO box 43671. Louisville, Kentucky 40253. If you want to send small, large, unmarked bills, probably marked, or crypto or gold, send it to that PO box. Yeah, I will set up a Venmo. That's a good idea. I will set up a company Venmo. I did just put it on my to-do list. Kenneth, thank you for reminding me. But yeah, please follow us in all the places. Spotify podcast, the Agree to Disagree show. We also do a sports show, and we try to have fun with that as well. Of course, that has turned way more political these days with the work of ESPN, ABC, Disney being the same company, pushing divisive racial agendas, fake racial agendas, such as the one Cap was putting out there with Nike and ESPN. The data did not support what he was claiming, but, anything to divide the country and make Americans hate Trump or something. That's what ESPN did. So we're the anti-ESPN. We're called the New American Media as the overall company, but that is called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. That's another podcast. I've been meaning to do some more live programs over there, but I've been focused on the politics side of things right now. So find us on Spotify. Donald Trump, as I mentioned, he just made $4 or $6 or $8 billion today, depending on where the stock trading ends up. He's doubled the value of that company in a day. So the American people are supporting him with his dollars, with your dollars. That's really what you have to do. If you don't like what Target is up to, don't go to Target. If you don't like Bud Light and what they're up to, don't buy Bud Light. You have the power to, if you appreciate something, you toss a couple bucks their way. If you don't appreciate something, stop giving them your money. So Truth Social, the New American Media, has an account there. We don't have a lot of traction there. So we need you. If you are on Truth Social, find us. We are the New American Media. I think it's one word. Maybe it's separate words. But just search the New American Media and link up with us on Truth Social. Because if any of these other sites go down, I got a hunch Truth is still going to be there. Also, Rumble. Go to Rumble and search the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show or Brian Engelman, and you will find our Rumble account. We need to get to 100 subscribers really quick. If you have a Rumble account, please pause right now while you're listening. Open up your Rumble feed, search the Agree to Disagree show or the New American Media or Brian Engelman, and click subscribe, please. Because once we get to 100, then we can live stream, and this broadcast can now go out on Rumble Live. I want to do that, but we got to get to 100. I think we only have 40 or something. But that's our backup to our flagship account, youtube.com/@the-new-american-media. We have, coming up on 1,500 videos over the past 13 years. So the New American Media has been doing that on YouTube. But even recently, they've banned a couple videos that mention the V word. It's like, I'm not a child, and I will not be treated like a child. I am allowed to question with boldness even the existence of God. For if he exists, he would surely prefer reason to blindfolded fear. So I'm not going to shut up on YouTube, but I don't trust that they're going to leave our catalog there. So 2 quick favors: subscribe on YouTube. If they'll keep us there, we're going to stay there. All this content ends up on YouTube, but 2 places as a backup. Rumble is the backup, and also Odyssey. Everything we upload to YouTube gets automatically uploaded to Odyssey, Odyssee. So that's another backup. Of course, on X, we're at American_media_. And then on Facebook, we have the New American Media. That's a public page. Sign up, like that page. I don't do a lot there yet, but I might do it again. It's just weird how you got to sign out a personal, and then you go to page accounts, and then you try to post something, but it won't let you. So there's a bit of a glitch. But remember, it was Facebook who deleted our damn company page with no cause, with no explanation, with no opportunity to remedy any alleged issue. I don't trust Facebook. I don't like Facebook at all, but we are there. They're a Meta company, so you can find the New American Media on Meta as well, on Instagram, the New American Media. We do put a lot of breaking news on that page. I encourage you to find us on Instagram, the New American Media. Our daily stories, we cover a lot. That's where a lot of the research is done, and then the best of the best gets shared there. So it'll be a great addition to your news sources. Also on Facebook, it's a private group called the TNAMs, TNAM for the New American Media. TNAMs, the Agree to Disagree Show. Search for the private group, and it says, how'd you find us? Say Brian sent you. We'll let you into the private group. We nonstop activity, playing tennis, discussing the news of the day, all day, every day on those private Facebook groups. Telegram is our backup for Facebook. So go to TNAM or TNAM chat. TNAM is like the main official page for the New American Media on Telegram. And TNAM chat is kind of like our Agree to Disagree show group on Facebook. Constant conversation and sharing stories. Once again, if you're on Telegram, please press pause and connect with TNAM and TNAM chat on Telegram, because we have to be able to deliver the news to you regardless of how this happens. If everything goes wonky, find us thenewamericanmedia.com. I will be revamping that website soon. I was going to say shortly, but shortly. We'll be updating the newamericanmedia.com. But yeah, we beg of you to find us in all the places, because we are unpacking the news of the day together. Let's see if there are any other comments we had that we wanted to discuss. Let's see. It does seem as though the trash can has become the favorite tool of the cabal. Yes, that bridge thing, of course. Let's see. Jocelyn mentioned earlier, but this is madness. Ukraine reports that the number of millionaires has been increased by 12% this past year, and Newland wants to send more money to them. Good grief. Dreamer says, yeah, ESPN, they're more like the sour hour. We're the unhappy hour, but we bring a lot of humor and fun to it. It really is a part of the Democrat deep state, the divisive Democrat deep state agenda. ESPN, ABC, Disney. Disney, super woke. ABC, Jimmy Fallon, super woke. ESPN, super woke. It's the same corporation, ABC, ESPN, Disney. We are the anti-ESPN. So they are the sour hour, and we're way happier. It's like, how does someone named Joy become so unjoyful on The View? Isn't that an ABC product as well? It's just they crank out trash. They just crank out garbage and lies. They think you're a moron. So if you're not a moron, find the New American Media. Peace out on ESPN. Yeah, 12% more millionaires in Ukraine. I mean, this is money laundering as they churn human beings into the meat grinder to just go die on the battlefield unnecessarily. I find that deplorable in a legitimate and accurate way. The lying legacy media calls Trump supporters deplorable because that's what Hillary Clinton did, because that's how she feels. They think you're stupid. They think you are deplorable. I don't. I like you. I like having you around. Jocelyn asks, why is the National Guard being called up for April 8th eclipse? Something is not right there. All right, I'm listening. I've heard this stuff. Yeah, it's supposed to be the home opener in Cleveland at the baseball game, formerly the Cleveland Indians. Now they're known as the Cleveland something or others. But the Cleveland Indians are going to open their season, and they delayed the game so that fans could get there early. And because it's going to be like directly overhead, you're going to see the full eclipse. I also wonder if that song Total Eclipse of the Heart is making a bunch of money right now in residuals. I'd love to see a story like about ASCAP or BMI over the past month. And definitely in the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear it a million times on TV shows and radio stations. They're going to be playing the crap out of Total Eclipse of the Heart. That's my hunch. So why is the National Guard being pulled up? Yeah, I've seen other stories about guardsmen being called up for Russia. Because, like I said, this is another undeclared war. And they need people. A theory about why so many illegal criminal invaders are crossing across the border is because they need to stock the shelves at the military. Because Joe Biden ran people out that wouldn't take the thing injected into them, ran out of the service. They pushed guys dressing as women, and they pushed DEI, which means didn't earn it. They've pushed a large portion of the competent members of the military out of the military. I saw that the recruiting numbers are down to the lowest they've been in quite some time. I don't have the report in front of me. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 years or 30 to 40 years, but the recruitment numbers are way short of what they need. So that's an interesting story to keep your eye on. But yeah, I mean, part of the reason, Jocelyn, is that the National Guard is being called up because so many people were kicked out of the military for not taking the Fauci ouchie. And they were kicked out or they didn't re-enlist because they're like, this is a woke, weird administration. I don't like them. I don't like what they're up to. I don't like Biden and Obama controlling the puppet strings with Victoria Nuland. I don't want to go be a pawn in this administration. I could not blame anyone that wanted to get the hell out at this juncture. It's like if you could be on that ship or on that bridge right before the crash happens, knowing that you have incompetence or a catastrophic mechanical failure, oh, I would get off of that boat. I would get off of that bridge. I would never take the bridge. So why would you sign up to get on that boat or that bridge if Biden was at the helm? Close your eyes and try to imagine Biden with like a sailor's hat. Tug, hoot, hoot. He's on a tugboat or whatever, trying to drive that little Steamboat Willie steering wheel. Ahoy, mateys. Yeah, I'm going to jump off. I'm just going to go elsewhere. I don't trust the direction you're steering me. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay, Dreamer says he will migrate to find the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show on Rumble when we can stream live. Okay, perfect. Okay, well, Dreamer, can you help me? Jocelyn, Kenneth, everybody watching, can you help me? Can you just like share out today's episode or a recent episode and just say, hey, Liberty lovers, can you please give these guys a subscription and a follow? They need to hit a benchmark so that they can stream live, and we need to do that. If you could help us magnify those efforts, we'd greatly appreciate that. Let's see. Jocelyn says, isn't it nice that Fanny Cash Money says she has nothing to be embarrassed about? Yeah. By the way, can someone tell me why she's called Peekaboo? I read one report. I don't even want to dignify it, but it's so silly. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when a Trump racial slur gets auto-corrected by his cell phone. It's like, what? Then I saw the Fanny posing topless or something. You know, anytime that stuff happens, I don't know. It's a human body. We all got one. Look, Melania posed. I mean, but Melania looked fantastic. Let's be honest there. Letitia, I would pass. I have no interest in glancing at that. But the question is, do we know why Trump calls her Peekaboo James? I was running a search. I ran a couple of searches, and I could not find a clear answer. So if you have an answer, I'm very curious to hear. Very curious. All right. Yes, we do call Facebook Disgracebook. Let's see. They are there to provide. Thanks, Kenneth. Oh, okay. I don't know what this is, Jocelyn. You say, oh, watch for the Devil's Comet during the eclipse. I don't know what that is. 2 days ago, the San Antonio Express News says the solar eclipse will share the sky with a rare devil comet. All right. See, this is what you get on the New American Media. Of course, you're here in the beginning phases. But how cool is it that you get to steer the news? And how cool is it that I think you can steer the news, and I appreciate you making my show better. I think that's super cool. I am seeing this on the page, something we did share out, that a lawsuit has been filed. An 8-year-old has been drowned in a hotel pool, sucked into a malfunctioning 1-foot wide tube. Pretty awful. Oh, the San Antonio Express News wants me to subscribe to read the story, so I can't do that. I was just so excited about. All right. Don't miss a chance to see a comet, too. Here we are. If you pay attention to the night sky and the visual opportunities that come around from outer space, then you've probably already seen what's being dubbed the Devil's Comet. Now, this is great foreshadowing. All the demons come back. Where's my gold? I drink the blood of humanity. But if you haven't, or if you're looking to get a better view, make your way to the path of the solar eclipse that will occur in the next couple of weeks. That's because at the moment of totality, When everything is aligned, you'll be able to see the comet passing by. And you'll want to make your best efforts. Oh my gosh, another pop-up bed. Because it won't be back for decades. Its official name is Comet 12P Pons Brooks, and it only makes an appearance around the Earth's sky every 71 years, according to a report from NPR. It takes that long for a comet to make a trip around the sun and back, and there will be chances to see it after the eclipse through mid-April, but after that, some of us won't be around for its next visit. I don't know. It's weird to imagine a world without me in it, because it's the only world I've ever known. The comet underwent an outburst, blowing off a bunch of gas and dust and brightening by about 100 times, overnight from magnitude 17 to magnitude 12. That's when your math's not mathing. It brightens 100 times, going from 17 to 12. I guess that's 5, so maybe every 5 counts as 20. Anyway, astronomy.com is writing. That outburst caused the coma, C-O-M-A, the coma, doggone it, to distort into a horseshoe or a horned shape. There we go. With a dark center and bright wings or points, hence many media outlets have nicknamed it the Devil's Comet. Studying the constellations will help you locate the comet in its Earth-sky orbit. Okay, then. Newsweek reports that the comet is flying along within Pisces and making its way to Aries. On April 21st, it will appear in the constellation of Taurus and will be best visible in the evenings from the northern hemisphere, where it will appear close to the west-northwest horizon, Newsweek reports. All right. So there's the Devil's Comet. We will keep our eyes peeled for that. It's important to remember that during a solar eclipse, special eyewear is needed to avoid visual injury, be it temporary or permanent. The same goes with cameras and binoculars. A protective lens is needed to avoid damage. Okay, yeah, what is the information behind that? I was trying to remember. Is it something about the light gets so focused, or it's more powerful? Like if you hold back, if you have to urinate, hold it back long enough, and then you do finally, and that just it comes out so fast and so fast and furious. I don't know. I forget I forget the science of why it's dangerous to look at an eclipse. If you can remember, type it in there, please, in the comments. Why is it dangerous to look at an eclipse? Like, what's the science of it? By the way, this appears to be, I guess, not breaking, but sort of breaking. RFK Jr. And here's a story to keep your eyes on. Keep your eyes peeled on this one. Dan Bongino, in particular, has been pretty good at reporting on this. There's a large number of Republicans who are now appear to be gaming the system to drop out of the system so that they can allow a vacancy, or that they can put a Democrat in their House position so they can get Speaker Hakeem Jeffries in place to prevent President Trump from getting in. If nobody gets 270 votes in the upcoming election, electoral votes, then it would be up to the House of Representatives, and they don't want Speaker Johnson in charge of that. So bribed and blackmailed traitor Republicans appear to be sabotaging the efforts for the Republican-held House to keep their slight majority. Keep your eyes peeled on that. But here's some other news. RFK Jr. has named far-left Democrat donor and activist Nicole Shanahan as his vice presidential nominee. Nicole provided financial support to both Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden. She also funded Soros-backed DA George Gascon. It's these Soros DAs that are ruining the American cities. All you have to do is arrest the repeat offenders. Just arrest the people that get violent. If you're breaking into people's homes, like, you go away. And if you have some time behind bars and you're given a second chance and you don't make good with your second chance, you go away for close to forever. Then when you get out, 3 strikes, you're out. This is the way you protect a community. You don't tolerate violence. You just don't. You don't tolerate property theft. You don't. and these Soros-backed DAs, they have really ruined America's formerly great blue cities. So that report I just read you was from Amuse. That's a good account to follow on X at Amuse, AMUSE. Charlie Kirk says RFK's VIP. Charlie Kirk says RFK's VP choice, Nicole Shanahan, is a six-figure donor to George Gascon. God, could you imagine paying north of $100,000 to put someone in that's going to intentionally destroy cities? That's disqualifying. Kirk calls her pro-crime. George Gascon, who is a pro-crime, Soros-backed prosecutor who helped wreck San Francisco and is currently wrecking Los Angeles. By the way, I used to live in Los Angeles for 15 years. It got so bad with the crime and the homelessness and the prostitution and the arson and the property theft and the breaking and entering. I had to leave. You know, theoretically, there's 100 reasons why I could have stayed, 100 reasons why I wanted to get out of there anyway, but it was that out of control, nobody is helping us in this community. Like, it was at the point where the gang members were about to off the other junkies because they were messing up the community so bad. Remember, gangs used to be just people that looked out for their communities before the deep state flooded inner cities with smack. What was that, the 70s? Late 70s, early 80s? People used to be in gangs to protect their communities. In a way, similar to like the militia. It's just you're the first responder. You're someone that's going to act local, think local, and you'll be the tough local muscle. I saw reports that with all these squatters coming in now. And if you missed all these stories, check out our shows from last week. But, you know, from New York to California, you're seeing more and more squatters trying to steal people's homes, their properties. And so there are now crews of people who have started a service where they go take the doors off, they take the windows out, they evict people where the law will not. If the law will not protect the people, the law is no longer valid. If the law is going to turn a blind eye, then you will have vigilante self-defense. You don't get to just steal somebody's stuff, especially their home. You don't get to steal somebody's virginity. You don't get to steal somebody's genitals like P. Diddy or Jeffrey Epstein. You don't get to steal somebody's homes, anybody's properties. It's just something you can't do. So anybody that's going to back someone like George Gascon, who's pro-crime, wrecking San Francisco and now Los Angeles, that is a big no-no. Huge failure for RFK Jr. But RFK comes in because if there's a way he could siphon off any of the Electoral College votes, maybe he could keep President Trump from getting to 270. If you could keep Trump from getting 270 in the Electoral College, maybe it goes to the House, and then maybe you could get rid of Speaker Johnson and get Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. I always call him Hakeem Nicks. Or Haywood Jeffries. They're two wide receivers in the NFL. I blur them together. I don't think RFK Jr. is going to do anything to hurt Trump. I think Trump is close to a 50-state lock at just running rampant. Like this is going to be the easiest re-election in the history of re-elections. Obviously, we all suspect the deep state to try to pull some shenanigans again. If you can't easily audit a system, if you can't have paper ballots to track and put things into boxes and you retain those records for 17 months like you're supposed, or however many months, if you can't see the source code, if these machines are going online when they're not supposed to, if signature verifications aren't happening, if tens of thousands of votes are being cast, but they don't, they all have the same address, or I assume that every shady tactic will be tried, but I don't think there's any way that Trump does not win this thing in a complete landslide. Close to 50 states, 45 states. But tell me, if you live in Illinois, New York, or California, you're telling me you're not ready to vote Trump? Everything is being destroyed around you. Everything important. So I think it'll be easy for Trump to win this. But so I'm not super worried about RFK Jr., but I am paying attention. And I did put in an interview request. I've interviewed third-party presidential candidates before. We've talked to Gary Johnson on the Libertarian ticket, Buddy Roemer, former governor of Louisiana, probably others. We've talked to Larry Elder. The RNC kept him out of the debates for some. Larry Elder would have been awesome in the debates this year. I need to get him back on the show. It's been a minute. Anyway, back to this story. Nicole Shanahan, the VP choice for RFK Jr. She also spent big on Measure J, which was a Los Angeles measure to reroute spending from law enforcement and prisons to social services and mental health treatment. In other words, not putting criminals and dangerous psychos behind bars. This is a far-left pick by RFK, who is apparently looking to shore up his progressive bona fides. A major red flag for common sense independents and centrist voters who are also sick of rising crime, but intrigued by his campaign. So that's a huge failure. An absolutely brutal failure here by RFK. So, all right, we will watch for the Devil's Comet, and that is who RFK is going to keep on his staff as his VP. I maybe RFK could pull some Democrat states because Biden has been such a train wreck. I don't think he beats Trump anywhere. I don't think there's a single place. Unless they try to rig it and make it look like the 6% that he gets all comes from Trump people and Biden's fake numbers are, I don't know. I just, there's not a universe where I don't see a massive red tsunami as a repudiation of what this regime has done to try to intentionally destroy the United States. Pure cloud and pivot strategy to overwhelm the United States system. Jocelyn says that she posits and puts out their biblical connection to the eclipse, ? Johan was told by God. Is that Jonah? Did you mean Jonah or Johan? Was told by God to go to Nineveh, and he ran away. Oh, no, it is Jonah. My name is Jonas. I'm carrying the will. Thanks for all you shown us. This is how we feel. I saw Weezer again last summer. They were great. Oh, they were so good. And they played Only in Dreams. Oh, off the Blue album. Just makes a grown man well up with tears and joy and all the feels. God, I saw Weezer when they first came out and got to see him last year. It was so good. So Jonah was told by God to go to Nineveh, and he ran away, and he ended up in a whale. The constellation of the whale. Yeah, I've been hearing about that. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. Dreamer makes a good point. Yes, they are up to a lot of computer-generated images. Absolutely. A lot of CGI everywhere. That Kate Middleton thing, did you see where it looks like the ring on her left finger, on her ring finger on her left hand or whatever, it disappears while she's talking, giving an update that she has cancer, some health issue? I watched it a few times. It certainly looked like it disappeared to me. Maybe I was missing something. Maybe it was the angle of the sun. I don't know. I don't follow the Royals very closely. I will never be royal. Royal. Have you ever seen the Weird Al song called Foil? We'll wrap it up with aluminum foil. It's awesome. The whole video is awesome. It's about... I don't want to ruin the video, but it's about conspiracy theories. It might be the best conspiracy theory song that he's ever done in video with Patton Oswalt in it. It's great. Watch Aluminum Foil, please. It is so good. There we go. Jocelyn says the constellation of the whale will be over the eclipse. Okay. There we go. The eclipse goes over 7 cities called Nineveh and also Jonah, Texas. Yeah, it's going to clip the edge of Kentucky. It's going to go up through Ohio into Cleveland. Yeah, that'd be a fun game to go to, that Cleveland baseball game, and see the eclipse in the morning. Just to remember where you were when. But yeah, some people are starting to get a little concerned, a little freaked out, if you will. Kind of concerned that something else might be aligned with this impending eclipse. You know, whether that's troops being called up, it's a false flag, it's a cover for something else. And of course, if you think galactically, you have all these situations where beings from the heavens descended upon the earth in flaming chariots. And if you look at what was that, the 12th Planet by Eric von Däniken, you know, like the Anunnaki come back and they want their gold. It's like you wonder why these countries are so obsessed with printing paper dollars that have no value to them, stockpiling gold. And it's like, well, the story is that they went to South Africa and they took the Cro-Magnon creature that was there, be it some sort of a prehistoric hominid type creature, an ape-like creature. They talk about what was that, Lucy in the missing link? Well, there's a missing link because they were genetically modified to be kind of half human or part human, smart enough to work the machines, but dumb enough where they're not able to question the powers that be. So that's something to consider as well. Eclipse enters the United States at Eagles Pass. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Now that's just stupid coincidental. Eagle Pass is where, I mean, that's been like the epicenter of the illegal alien invasion. Kenneth B asking, will that Project Bluebeam be occurring that day? That's a great. I mean, if you can put Tupac on stage at Coachella as a hologram, and he's been dead for 20 years, like, tell me you can't put a Muhammad up there, you can't put a Jesus Christ up there, or whatever up there. All right, Dreamer, what do you mean by this? Watch for mold at the hotel pools this year. Just a pro tip. What does that mean? I'm curious. Watch for mold at the hotel pools. Okay. Dreamer saying, like, when you glance up there, your brain doesn't know to look away. Remember that thing where Trump was, he looked up, like there was some sort of a partial eclipse or a lunar or solar, and he was looking up and he didn't have his glasses on. Everyone's like, oh, he's so stupid. He's looking right at the. So, yeah. Of course, the uniparty in action, Dreamer. It's exactly what we've seen over the past, maybe our entire lifetimes. But we used to think the news was real. We didn't fully understand the scope and severity of both sides working together. And if they're working together to make life better, that's great. But if they're not, then I think we have a problem. All right. Jocelyn says, you don't get to steal a country either, but Mayorkas and Biden still will not close the border. When will the vigilantes arrive? I mean, we are in uncharted territory. Do you think Biden will ever agree to debate Trump? I mean, not if he's smart. So probably. Because he's not smart. But then again, let's not go too far. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Let's not think of Joe Biden as just you know the thing. Come on, man. This is why I'm gonna whisper. And then I'm going to be super jacked up on roids at the State of the Union. WWE Biden on methamphetamines, allegedly. Do I think he will debate Trump? I mean, look, Trump wouldn't get out of his own way last time. he talked over Biden 1,000 times in the 2020 debates. If I were coaching President Trump, and I am, because you could hear me and somebody close to him could get this, talk less controversy out of you. Just let things happen. Please, just let it happen. Let Biden ruin himself. You don't need to dominate him. Let him get confused. Just get him on the record and in as many lies as possible. Yeah, it's weird that we don't have a debate set up. And you know what? If he declines debates, then I think Trump should do something funny. And he should do something funny with it, like have a mock debate and have like a character play Biden. Or Trump could put up a mustache or something, or put a different color tie over his thing and like, I'm Biden and I think you should have wide open borders because that's smart. And then debate like a fake version of him, or have like a scarecrow, or no, there simply has to be Biden-Trump debates. So I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I'm curious. I'm interested to see how all of this happens at the conventions too. All right. Ricardas Costella says, if your generation had been fairer, there wouldn't be as many something in the street. Son of a bitch. What generation are you in, Ricardas? And can you elaborate on that statement? JJ says, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled for UFOs during the eclipse. Oh, yeah, that is a great idea. A absolutely brilliant idea. What a perfect time to coordinate something. To have a launch somewhere. It's getting tougher to do things without being noticed. Let's see. Jocelyn says, Dr. J. Allen Hynek said the Anunnaki will be coming back in 2060. All right. So 2060 is going to be, let's do some quick girl math. 36 years? Is that right? I just love that phrase, girl math. It's funny. I like using it even when it's not appropriately used. 2060, but we're seeing craft being chased by military jets just about every night with night vision goggles. So you're actually out there with your goggles and you're seeing craft being chased? Kenneth B says, Project Jim Beam. I did go to the Jim Beam distillery. It is a fantastic facility. Actually, if you go on to youtube.com/@thenewamericanmedia, please do click subscribe. And please play some videos. Like, we need to boost our engagement numbers. Subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube. But we have some, if you go to the shorts section, I did release 3 videos of the tour of the Jim Beam distillery. Project Jim Beam, absolutely. Dreamer says they're dirty. That's it. Well, yeah. These dirty rats. Yeah, we'll see when they start fleeing the sinking ship. Dirty rats indeed. But, yeah, look. Today's episode has been pretty much all about dirty rats. Dirty rats of Alvin Bragg in New York, Letitia James, and Engeron, the judge. I mean, dirty rats should be disbarred and jailed. They should be criminally tried for civil rights abuses, election interference, 8th Amendment violations. Throw the damn book at him. By the way, where is... okay. I like Ron... I prefer when Ron DeSantis is kicking ass in Florida with a good team of people around him, guiding him to good decisions. Donald Trump is a Florida resident. Hear me out. There has to be some sort of standing. And when we talk about standing, I'm reminded of the 2020 election where some judges were like, oh, well, this state can't sue that state because they have no standing regarding election violations, like Pennsylvania, for example, where they changed their election laws without voting it, which you can't do, which invalidates that state. The illegitimate states could, by the way, go to cisa.gov/rumor control regarding the elections, because they want you to see countervailing views, because they think 2020 was the only safe and secure election in the nation's history, because every Republican who won previously had Democrats saying that it was rigged and stolen and it wasn't a fair election. So everybody can say that except for 2020, where there was the most opportunity for rampant voter fraud, but they claim it was the only safe and secure election in the history of elections. No shenanigans. But some states were banned from filing lawsuits. They were struck down. I'm sorry, excuse me? We're in a 50-state union. And if you dilute my vote if you take 6 states, let's just say, who magically pause with Trump in the lead, hundreds of thousands of votes, then they magically switch over the course of hours and days. You have disenfranchised my civil liberties, my civil rights. Civil rights is not about the pigment in your skin. It's about the core of what it means to be a human. And if you steal somebody's vote, it becomes important. So when it comes to standing, why doesn't Ron DeSantis? All right. Here's a great idea. Why doesn't Ron DeSantis go ahead and say, I have a resident named Donald Trump, and his civil rights have been violated. And when I say DeSantis, I mean it could be the Attorney General of Florida. I don't literally mean it has to be DeSantis. But Ron DeSantis or the Attorney General could say, this Florida resident's civil liberties have been violated. We're filing suit against Engeron, Letitia James, and Alvin Bragg. Come down here to Florida and defend yourself. 8th Amendment, cruel and unusual punishments, $500 million. Get out of here with no victim. Why can't a red state go after those people who are the willing foot soldiers of the deep state Democrat left? Why not? Maybe that's how you stop this. So I'm calling on somebody from Texas, or it's got to be Florida, though. Florida's a deep red state, and Trump is the resident there. So I think that would do a lot of good. Jocelyn answers the question saying, yes, we see them here in Sedona, UFOs, that is. My friend Melinda Leslie has UFO sighting tours here. I sometimes help her, but I have my own goggles. I watch from my hot tub. Oh, man. Jocelyn, when's the party? I want to do the UFO hot tub watching party. It reminds me of a time that I went into New Mexico. I bartended at the Oscars. I'm trying to remember. Maybe on no sleep. I worked through the night. Maybe I took a nap, or maybe I just drove through the night because I was like, well, it's going to be easy drive and no traffic to get out of LA and through Arizona. I don't think I got any sleep that night. And I drove to the Greater World Earthship community in Taos, New Mexico. And there was an area outside of Taos, the Greater World community. And there was a hot tub, a hot springs. And I just remember, like we all went out there and different hot springs and just sitting back. And the Rio Grande is rocking right beside you. I mean, not so much like it'll sweep you up into it, but like it was down a bit and over. But man, just sitting in the hot springs, looking at no lights, zero lights, no light pollution at all. God, that was one of my top. I wonder when we pass from this experience and everything we've transmitted through our Wi-Fi goes to that DVR in the sky, and we get to relive our moments. I really do think a version of hell would be something like, if you aborted a child, it lets you see what your life could have been like if that kid was in your life. I think a version of hell could be seeing you reaching your full potential had you applied yourself differently and made different decisions and avoided other pitfalls. I think a version of hell could be you really feeling the pain that you've caused other people interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, work relationships, all sorts of things. To just kind of go back and replay your DVR, but like from an outside set of eyes or like as an observer. Maybe that, maybe that's what hell is like. But I wonder if heaven is like having the chance to relive your best moments. And just like over the years, all the great things we've had a chance to do and incorporate, and, you close your eyes to your top 10 favorite experiences ever. Being able to access your favorite parts of life on an infinite loop could be a lot of fun. You don't want to spend your whole time in the rearview mirror, but I'd imagine if you could go back to that Christmas when you were 7. That time you spent with family that's no longer with you, whatever. I think about that stuff. That's very interesting. But I could only imagine watching. Now, is it dangerous wearing night vision goggles in a hot tub? Do you have like a GFCI, like a ground fault circuit interrupter on there? Dreamer says, beam me up, Jimmy. Yeah, now we're back to the Jim beam. Kenneth says, UFO weenie roast. Okay. The UFO weenie roast. I would go to a UFO weenie roast and hot tub extravaganza. Maybe we should plan a field trip. Let me look on the map. There's Flagstaff. I've driven through Flagstaff all sorts of times. Tucson, Phoenix. Where is it? Sedona, Tempe. I don't see Sedona on there. Maybe we should have a. Yes, don't get the goggles wet. Okay. Good plan. Maybe we should have a TNAM meetup. Wouldn't that be something? A TNAM UFO meetup. I'll tell Melinda and we can go out to a spot where the sightings are off the charts. I understand Ross Couthart is coming to witness what we are seeing. Jocelyn, did you ever stay in touch? Remember we had our co-host for a month or two last year? You ever stay in touch with her? She lives right over in your general area, right? I know you two would kind of comment in the chat section. I don't remember if you two have stayed in touch. But yeah, this is definitely shaping up to be one of the weirder years on record. Jocelyn says Sedona is 40 miles south of Flagstaff. All right, there we go. Yeah, I see Flagstaff. What is that, Route 40? Is that 40 or 60? Or they run parallel at some points and they break off. Okay, you haven't heard from her in Phoenix. Yeah, she kind of dropped off the map. I hope she's doing okay. Nice girl. But I remember she was in the same area and you guys talked. But yeah, no, Kenneth, we're not doing that. Not having a UF orgy. No, it's all in good fun. But I've driven through Flagstaff, and I think it's one of the creepiest places on earth. That and Vail, Colorado. Real creepy places. I've never had good vibes in those places. As you drive through, especially. Oof, yeah. Not a fan. But yeah, Flagstaff is cool. Of course, go up to Jerome, Arizona, where Maynard from Tool lives and has the Caduceus vineyards and stuff up there. UF, no. All right. Yeah, maybe a New American Media meetup somewhere. Wouldn't that be fun to have a UFO extravaganza? All right, well, that's called planting the seed of an idea. God, that would be a lot of fun. I want to go back to those hot springs by the Earthship community, too. That would be a lot of fun. Okay, so you take 40 to 89A. That's how you end up there. UF no. Okay, your daughter's in Flagstaff with an art studio over there. Very cool. All right, well, everybody, thank you so much for participating in today's program. Special thanks to Blake Walley for joining us today. Follow him at TV's Blake Walley and thenextlevelnews.com. My name is Brian Engelman. I'm signing out today on behalf of the Agree to Disagree show and the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. We plan to be back on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, Jocelyn says it's your daughter's in Jerome, not Flagstaff. That's awesome. Jerome's a cool place. Once voted America's wickedest city. Maybe that's a good place to have a meetup. Oh, that would be fun. Have like a wine weekend. When I went through there, I stayed at a bed and breakfast. And we were kind of like on the back, I don't know, back part of the property you could overlook. And I think Sedona was on fire at the time, and you could see the smoke, and it was just incredible. 12,000 miles above sea level. Yeah, that whole experience, I would go back to that moment and have a good time and relive that for sure. That's our other question of the day. What moments would you go back and relive? Tell me about one. I'm going off air, so leave it in the comments or find me with that later. Yeah, we ran out of time today, but that's a good question. Give me a moment you would go back to if you could kind of relive it. Tell me something good. Good day to Dreamer and Kenneth and JJ and everyone out there in the TNAM universe. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon.